So, hello and welcome to round 4 of the UCI Mountainbike Eliminator World Cup for 2025. We're coming to you today from Sakarya in Turkey. Now, Sukabalova and Edvard Lind, the two reigning new world championships, took their title on this course earlier on this year. Well, that was back in June. Will they dominate today, or will the World Cup leaders Fromberger and Klemenchek retain the top of the standings? That was the course that they are going to be facing today. Just a slight change from that World Championships back in June. They don't go over the stage, they go round in front of it. And it was such a technical course earlier on this year.
So indeed it was. My name's Mark Payne. I'm here in the studio with Emma Martin. We're going to be putting words to all of the race action from the UCI MTB Eliminator World Cup from Sakarya in Turkey. The World Cup has been absolutely astounding, and I've really loved watching the action unfold in front of us. And with new world champions looking to show off their jerseys, with the culmination of the series, with the point standings, and with some surprises in qualification, it really has shaken things up.
Yeah, it has shaken it up indeed. We are round 4 today of 6 in this World Cup. We move on next weekend to Brazil, but first of all, the riders have got to race here in Sakarya. They are lining up for the women's quarter-finals at the moment, and I can tell you there have been some stories today already. Well, Sakarya Turkey, the 2024 world champion, is back. She has been out of action this year due to an injury in training. It meant she missed the World Championship. She took a tumble today in the individual time trial and qualified in last place for the quarterfinals. Well, they are indeed lining up, and the whistle has gone, and away they go. Well, away go. It is Fromberger, Kuznetsova and a car coming down the start at the moment, and it is Kuznetsova coming into the lead as they go up the hill. They're going to come off of the tarmac and onto the grass. The climb keeps going. Now, it's a wide section of the course at the moment, but at this long straight, they then take the left-hand turn down past the berm, onto the steps, through the rock garden, and then, Fromberger trying to come up on the outside there of Kuznetsova, over the bridge and then up the climb.
And this climb is going to be really critical. Here comes Fromberger. Look at the power as she comes on there, carrying momentum and speed, really drives onwards, and look at the gap that it's opened up. Two riders to go through from this quarter-final to move into our semi-finals, which means one rider will be eliminated over the big drop-off on the way down, but the riders chasing Fromberger. The World Cup leader takes that sweeping right-hand turn at the moment. Behind, the chase is on. 2 laps of the circuit to do, and Fromberger at the moment, it's all about now keeping her cool. She's in the lead, not make any mistakes that causes her a mechanical and drops her back, and that is what will put her in danger.
Well, she's been so consistent, Fromberger, this season in the World Cup. She's finished second in round 1, second in round 2. She took the win in Ireland in round 3, and that's why she's wearing that leader's jersey at the moment for the World Cup for 2025. She's looking strong today here in Sakarya as they go out on lap 2.
So out on to lap 2, the rider who took top spot in that time trial, leading, sitting behind Kuznetsova, looking very good as well, looking smooth as she came up and over 8th in the time trial. She gave away 13.9 seconds in that lap time trial, but at the moment that gap has opened up back to Akar, the rider who's in 3rd place. And at the moment looks like Fromberger now being smart, taking a little look across. A great shot here from the drone of the riders going up and over, and you can see the difference between the riders, how far that gap has opened up. Fromberger with that fastest time, some 2 seconds quicker than the nearest rider, which was Sukabalova.
Well, and I think what's going to be interesting today, Matt, is the fact that we could well see, if they all qualify, Gaia Tormena, Marion Fromberger, and of course Maria Sukabalova all come into that finals. My fingers are crossed right now for them, because that is one race I really want to see.
And it will be very telling when we come in towards the end of the race. But coming in, taking victory is Marion Fromberger. She takes position 1 as she goes in through over the line. Our second place rider going in and through. It is Anastasia Kuznetsova. She goes through as well. It's not going to be a move forward for Nisanur Akar. Akar going to now be watching with the crowds on the stand, I'm sure, and cheering on the rest of the riders on this course.
Well, I'll tell you something, the crowds here in Sakarya really love their bike racing, whether it is indeed Eliminator World Cups or World Championships, mountain bike marathons or BMX World Cups. Well, this was the start, and this was Fromberger coming through, dominating this round. And interesting changes to some of the technical features this year in Sakarya. The addition of those rollers on top of the bridge, the drop down onto the road, so some additional little features. It's a technical course, this one, Matt, because of the pace the riders race it.
It is a course that would be relatively simple to ride for these riders, for riders of this quality, but not to race. That's a really good point.
And I'll tell you something, this could be the final, because we've got Didi de Vries from the Netherlands, we've got Maria Scherstiuk from Ukraine, and Gaia Tormena, the 2024 world champion, in this round.
So the riders up and away. Just taking a look down here, and I don't see Gaia Tormena. Now, we know that Gaia Tormena had taken a crash in qualifying. Her qualifying time 1 minute 44.38, and it looks like Tormena not able to take to the start, and that is Tormena, I think, now out from the competition, not taking to the start line, leaving it to the last minute to try and make that decision, to try and make the race and to be able to continue, but not able to do so. Now, this is about who's got form, who's going to rest here, but who wants to put down a marker, and who wants to get that effort in there. These two riders don't need to race, but they will want to still take that race victory. So we'll see how fast they're going when we get round to see what time they do. Well,
and for those of you new to the mountain bike eliminator format, the individual time trial first thing sets the qualifying and the gridding for riders to progress. The top 16 moving into the 8 finals, where the 2 riders 1 and 2 go through to the next round. Riders 3 and 4 don't make it through to the quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, the top 2 riders go through. Riders 3 and 4 don't make it through to the semifinals. In the semifinals, the top 2 riders go through to the main final to decide places 1 through to 4th, and the 3rd and 4th rider go through to the small finals to decide places 5th through to 8th. That's how Eliminator racing works. So our riders having to put in repeated efforts time after time, and if you can have a steadier race, which is what our riders are doing at the moment, I think you can just see the pace just off. There is no need for them to really scramble their way around here, just looking to make sure they get round safely, complete the race and get themselves out. That is absolutely key here today. So at the moment, Didi de Vries on the climb just in front of Scherstiuk. No Gaia Tormena after that crash at the qualifying that took her out. That was on the step down. I mean, it is a feature that causes a lot of problems for the riders, isn't it, Emma? We saw that in the World Championships. We did see that in the World Championships. It was one of the real technical features that caused challenges there. But let's put it this way. Didi de Vries, she finished 4th in the World Championships. Maria Scherstiuk finished 3rd in the World Championships. You're watching 3rd and 4th in the world at the moment on this qualifier. It is highly likely that these two will be in contention later today to get into that major final. De Vries has had a 5th in round 1, a 4th in round 2 and a 4th in round 3. She's been very consistent this year. Scherstiuk has had a phenomenal World Championships. She's not quite put those performances in the World Cups, as they both go over the line together. So De Vries and Scherstiuk, a shake of the hands there, and that will aid them in their progression. And will that be the vital piece of energy that they've saved now that they can put into use later? Will it be that lack of stress, that lack of adrenaline taking its toll on the body as they move onwards? We will have to see. Will it be that because the normal routine has been disrupted, they're not going to be right up there, they're not going to be pushing? You can see that on the pace of both riders, taking it very carefully round, not pushing it to the limit. Even little things like as they come around that turn and that final turn, just engaging
engaging the pedals, just taking the power up just that little bit later. They want to put on a show for everybody who's in those grandstands, but equally they know they need to be smart and save energy.
Well, down in the start at the moment, we've got 3 riders lined up. Maria Shukapolova from the Ukraine, the world champion. Kalashnikova is in 2, and Hannah Beck, the young German rider, in 3.
So away go our riders, 3 riders on that start line, 2 to go through. Big look over the shoulder there by Beck, wanted to make sure she can get across. Now she's shoulder to shoulder at the moment with Kalashnikova, the rider who's now punched away in through the centre here. So up on to this little climb. It's a small push, but it comes at the end of that long straight when the rider's been on the limit, down over the steps, taking that line very carefully because of the number of people who've come across her on that part of the course. But at the moment, the world champion are making it look simple. What do you do if you're world champion? You put down the power. She knows this course. She's feels good on this course. She's going to have great memories of this course, and at the moment very quickly into that descent behind. And they're going to have to see how this unfolds between Kalashnikova and Beck. I think here Beck just losing a little bit more ground on this descent on the way down, and now it's about making sure you do enough to get through and not do too much.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? The rollers on the top of the bridge taking some of the momentum off of the riders before they hit the descent, just slowing them down before they come into that tight corner, which is another technical feature, actually, quite innocuous, but actually does cause challenges, and we'll see that later as we come potentially into the sprint finishes.
So the end of lap number 1 is done. We go out onto lap number 2, and at the moment it is Maria Shukapolova who has got the race lead. She has been closed down a little bit here by Hannah Kalashnikova on the way up over onto the top of this slight rise before the descent down. These 2 riders clear of Hannah Beck of Germany, who is now distanced, but this is mountain biking and anything can happen. It's a great way to take mountain biking to the people. You can't necessarily bring people to the mountains, but Mountain Bike Eliminator bringing the bikes and the riders and the terrain to the people, and it's a great way of showing off the skills of these riders around the terrain as well, and certainly doing that here on the rock gardens, on the steps, on these very technical sections, and it tests the bikes to the limit. It's so easy to see a chain dropped here. We saw that last year. We saw problems at the World Championships, broken wheels, tyres blown off as people start pushing it more and more as we move in towards our semi-finals and finals.
Yeah, and it is one of the things, you know, it sounds simple, but you've got to get your bike over the line, and sometimes it is not that simple when it comes to eliminator racing.
Indeed, we've seen riders just on that last drop lose the chain and have to freewheel and be overtaken on the way to the line. No such problems though for world champion Maria Shukapolova. She comes through from Ukraine. She takes away a top spot. It is the neutral nation rider Hannah Kalashnikova who goes through in second place, and it's going to be Hannah Beck who will be our 3rd finisher here today. Beck really learning her trade in cycle sport and completing the season. Great experience in the bank for her, and I'm sure a very, very memorable experience with the crowds at the side there to cheer her on in and over the line.
Well, the final heat here in the women's quarterfinals, lining up behind Hannah Beck as she comes over the line waving to the crowd. She won't progress past the quarterfinals today, but Shukapolova and Kalashnikova will be the 2 riders progressing to the semi-finals. While the next heat down being given the 15-second marker, we've got Pernica from Czechia, we've got Borrelli from France, and Yigit from Turkey down there. Away they go. The final heat in the women's quarterfinals today.
Well, you could see the initial kick off from the line there. Margot Borrelli looking very, very strong, but Pernica, the rider, really taking it to them. The Czechia rider, Adela Pernica, very strong off the mark there. She saw the opportunity. She took a little look across and then sprinted away. Thought the right, this is my chance. If you are in position 1, you are out of trouble. You know that you've got a sliding room of at least one place before you are put under pressure. Pernica at the moment wanted to make the mark very early on these climbs, going to come over the top, down underneath that archway and over the rock garden, the second of the rock gardens on this course before the big drop off with time to spare. Now she's really put that gap in here. Great tactics. It means that she can now cruise, get the gap early, cruise through the technical sections on this downhill, take that turn carefully, and then power down the straight again. Use those skills that she used on lap 1 in lap 2, and it's going to bring her on, and it's going to bring her home much better position.
Well, she didn't race round 1 and round 2 of the World Cup this year, but she came out strong on the 12th of July in Ireland, which was indeed round 3, where she finished second to indeed Marion Fromberger, and that was a cracking race and a cracking race day, and obviously one that Pernica wants to do again. And take a look at this. She's come to Sakarya, and she is dominant in this heat at the moment.
And very little time difference per lap between Pernica and Sakapalova on their time trial lap. It was only 0.15 of a second. So basically just over a tenth and a half of a second that separated. So it's going to be really interesting when those two go up against each other, because they are so well matched time-wise. At the moment, it is Pernica who is leading this out. She has the gap to Borley, and it is going to be Yigit, who's the moment, the rider who's in trouble, in danger of being eliminated, 11th in that time trial, in the qualification time trial. But the moment, this quarter-final going to form as we see our race leader down over the next of our little drop-offs there. Very handy way to get the riders up and over all the cables that are laid on as part of the infrastructure, bringing you the images here today. Down past the VIP area, this fantastic venue that plays host to a world-class road riding track around on the mountain bike, on the mountain bike eliminator, the mountain bike marathon, the cross country, and of course the BMX Racing World Cup. A regular visit to Sakarya in Turkey. Well, this is one rider who I'm sure will want to come back. Adela Pernica taking a top spot in her quarter-final. That's her safely in and through, cheered on by the crowds. And really important that riders don't get carried away.
Yeah, completely, because there are many more races to come, and you've got to conserve the energy enough. You need to do enough, but conserve the energy enough. This is like, if you are a runner, this is like doing an 800-metre race 4 times in an hour.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I don't run for the bus. Never mind running 800 metres at a time. Give me a bike any time. But no, that repeated effort very much what's going to take its toll.
Well, the qualifications through to the semi-finals: Fromberger, Kuznetsova, Shukabalova, Kalashnikova, De Vries, Schurstuk, and then indeed we saw the women in that final round, Pernica and Borley, going through. Well, it was all go in the men's as well, because the world champion took a tumble on the course in qualification, and the time trial, well, he finished 15th, the fastest in the individual time trial, Eddie Molnar. They went head-to-head in the 8th finals, and well, as you can see, Heat 4 was seriously close. Van Looy, Gegenheimer and Bustatar, 0.6 of a second separated them, but the two riders going through, Van Looy and Gegenheimer, in the end. The quarterfinals for the men, well, it looks a little bit like this, and I'll tell you something, I wouldn't want to be in Heat 3.
Or any of them.
Well, indeed, the quarterfinals, the men are down on the start sheets, and Wool from France, Zagar from Slovenia, Molnar from Romania, and Akam from Turkey. They are lined up down there and are ready to go.
So here we go, 2 riders through. Remember, that means that 2 riders will be eliminated. A big look over the shoulder there by Gegenheimer, just keeping a check and see what's going on around him. So by Molnar, going to be very interested. Eddie Molnar there, the man with the sash there, just taking a quick check, but at the moment leading them up it is going to be Akam, who's got the race lead into this left-hand turn. They're all very careful here on this descent, taking the best line they can down there and not throwing caution to the wind. It has seen incidents on the way through, and we send our best wishes to Garely in terms of getting better, because I know he came down heavily there.
Well, the push is on here on the front of the race, and it is indeed Zagar who is leading them out at the moment. But all four riders pretty much still in contention. Oh, look at that. Zagar just takes a check over his shoulder just to see how far back the riders are. But pushing on now as they come towards the end of lap 1. This race, I think, is going to light up during lap 2.
Well, they've just been shoulder to shoulder around that innocuous right hand of sweeping bend coming into the turn there, with Wall getting pushed and shoved a little bit there by Aken, but that is the nature of the racing, of the close cross-country racing here. So at the moment, Zagar leading out right on his heels, the fastest man in that time trial. That is Molnar. Molnar dives on the inside here. He's going to try and push it wide. Molnar goes over the top here. He's going to try and pick himself back up again. He took the dive into the corner. He dives down onto the course. This is going to eliminate him from at least the next round. We'll see if he gets back up on to the bike. If he can ride on, it has been known for two riders to eliminate themselves further around the course, and somebody who came down early to actually go through and qualify. But at the moment, that incident is going to potentially take him out from hero to zero on the course, and that is a big issue for him. Meanwhile, the battle for second and third place, very tight indeed. It has left out on the front of the course Wall, so Justin Wall leading out at the moment. Immediately behind him is Zagar. Zagar has company from Aken, so he punches the air there as he goes over the line. What a ride by Wall, what a ride by Zagar. Not going to happen today for Molnar.
Well, Zagar took third place in the bronze medal in the World Championships earlier on this year, and I think just a little startled by the incident out on course as well, to allow Wall to come over the top. But Molnar was indeed on form. He set the fastest time in the individual time trial earlier on. Such a shame, but that's what happens in Eliminator racing. It is close, it is fast, it is hard, and the technical features, well, you've got to get round. So heat number 2, it is Van Looy from Belgium, Tornillion from France against Ceres from France and Gegenheimer from Germany.
So this is the chance for us to see who is on form out of these riders, which two are going through, and it could be any two of those riders. Gegenheimer in the black with those world champion bands on his arms, moves into position. He just moves alongside the youngster there's in here, Van Looy. However, now decides time to move, time to push on here. Here's a quick response by Lorenzo Ceres with that number 4 plate, who moves into the race lead here. So Ceres leads into this turn. Gegenheimer in second place. Tornilon right in attendance. So is Van Looy. Van Looy racing over the top, carrying way too much speed there by the look of it. Couldn't nail it on the way down there. And that is taken, I think that's Tornilon who's gone down there on that jump over the top. So full of incident already in the men's racing. They really are putting everything into this as they go through. So we're going to get a little bit of a check as they come down this straight. Our two leaders at the moment, though, looking good out the front of the race. So as they drop down, they have the 4 and 5 plate respectively. Ceres and Gegenheimer leading this out as they come towards the end of this lap.
And we said earlier on, the challenge with this course is that it is so fast. It is wide and it is fast, and then there are technical features. There are not a lot of tight corners to slow the racing down, and that is what makes this course here in Sakarya so hard and so technical. And the riders do need to pay attention, and well, they're world-class riders, and incidents happen.
Yeah, you could see the speed coming in there, absolutely shot up, and they were side by side as well, so it only takes one flick, will knock on the handlebars to just change the weighting on the bike, change the position as you take off, not be able to correct it and get that landing right. It's just racing, that's just how it goes, and anybody who's race eliminated will know that. Here we go, down at the drop-offs, down that descent. Van Looy not able to close the gap down at the moment. You can see how hard he's working at the moment. He qualified in 21st place, but at the moment he's the rider who's going to be eliminated here. as they come round. Left-hand turn, being led out. Lorenzo Seres leads Simon Gegenheimer. They take the foot off the throttle. They roll the way to the line. Gegenheimer calls the cucumber as Van Looy almost tries to steal it from him on the line, but not happening.
Well, two riders through, Lorenzo Seres and Simon Gegenheimer. They will progress to the semi-finals. Zinny Van Looy, who had a phenomenal performance in the 8th finals, the rider not progressing today. Tornelian, we are sending him our wishes. The next heat lining up with 15 seconds to go is Hampio from France. Well, he's going up against Edvard Lind, the world champion. Brickis on the line too. Hampio is next to Perrin Gagné, also from France.
4 riders, 2 to go through. Hopefully all 4 will make it down into the finish of this quarterfinal. As we go through, this is the 3rd of our quarterfinals. Already down today, the world champion has been on the floor. He's picked himself back up again. But as they push on here, you can see Tito and Perrin Gagné, the multi-time French champion, leading them out. Takes a wide line, cuts in tight down there. Very tight here between Lind as he comes in on those turns. And again, so much speed being carried up over the top. You've got to be so careful doing that. At the moment, Kylian Hampio almost overjumped that and came into trouble. Hampio having to get a foot out as he tangles with Lind on the top left-hand turn. On the way down, had to get clipped back in again to get that descent nailed. This is not about having flat pedals and your foot on the pedal. This is about staying clipped in and putting down the power. Perrin Gagné leading this out in style.
And there's a reason for that. He had trouble on the World Championships on this course, and he's out front, clear, being able to see every line, being able to take the choice of line that he wants, and that's what his focus is he leads them out onto lap 2.
So at the moment, it's the former world champion and the current world champion, and there was a shout there, let's go, 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 because that is what they want to do. They want to keep this gap between 2nd and 3rd place. The rider in 3rd place at the moment, Kylian Hampio, the youngster who really has made his mark. He's come into the race and he came in and really stamped his authority on there. He is trying to push on, but at the moment, Brickis and Hampio, the riders who are in trouble, the 2 leaders, massive look around there in the huge gear that Lind churned up to the top of that hillside there. That wasn't spinning his way up. He was in a huge gear. He's let Perrin Gagné go. Is there a problem on the bike for Lind on that downhill? We're just taking a long look behind because at the moment Perrin Gagné has gone clear and it looks like Lind has had an issue on the top of the hillside. He has been swept away and now this has left the door open behind. They're coming and they're coming quick. I'll tell you something, Perrin Gagné has still got to carry speed and pace around this turn. He does so. He will go to the line. It's about that sprint behind, and after all of those, that long battle, that long race to the top of the hill, Perrin Gagné goes through. Hampio will be thanking his lucky stars. He's made it through. Brix is eliminated. And what happened to Edvin Lind? Shooting the big gear and then nowhere.
Well, we'll find out in a minute. But Kylian Hampio, do you know he's been a real surprise this year? Young French rider, under 20. Lind has got a real puncher. Took 6th place at the World Championships and he's come out with absolute class. He really is. And he ran Perrin Gagné really close in the French Championships this year as well. Well, the next heat it is Klemenchek from Mate, from Van Eck and from Safi. Those are the 4 riders down in the start pen, and away goes the final heat in the men's quarterfinals.
A long look across from Safi from Turkey there to see where he's going to slot in to this group as they start to push on here. Jeroen Van Eck wearing the national champions jersey of the Netherlands up against the series leader Klemenchek. Klemenchek using that banking up to the tarmac as an elongated berm there to carry as much speed and pace as he could around that corner and drop in there. Absolutely nailing this. Fantastic to see the way that he's gone diving in there, and as leader the pressure is on. Interesting line taken. He went very tight there onto the left hand side of the course. didn't want to go out wide on the right and take that risk. At the moment, Klemenchik takes a look at the big screen. He can see that immediately on his wheel, he's got Jerome Van Eck, one of the fastest finishers, but look who is coming up behind. You can see that Safi is not out of this, neither is Mate, as they make their way down this descent. What can the rider do here as they come down, taking the turn? Sunny Safi right on the heels here. He's going to start winding up. They're as close together now as they were when they went out on lap 1. This is lap 2, and the pressure is on. Safi puts an attack, and he's going to go up the side here. They're going to put the pressure on Klemenchik. Into this bank we go. Fingers crossed, tight inside for Klemenchik. He holds it. Safi up into the lead here, and he has lit the afterburners. He's on his way. Can he keep this pace? What has he got left in the tank? Klemenchik up on the right-hand side, can't get past him. Can he hold it together? He's got to keep that line. Again, Klemenchik down the tight inside line at the moment. Jerome Van Eck, a man who's got the rainbow bands of former world champion, is behind. He's got a monstrous turn of speed. He's got big power. He's going to come up on the side. Klemenchik could get pitched out here as over the top goes Van Eck. Oh, Safi loses it on the downhill from the race lead. Van Eck comes round that turn. It's going to be Van Eck and Klemenchik come through. Klemenchik and Van Eck both take a look over to see where everybody is. Issues, as you can see, on that downhill. Not to be the day today for Safi. What a race from him, though. I mean, that is impressive stuff. If he had held that together, if it held that together, that would have really have put the cat amongst the pigeons and eliminated potentially Jerome Van Eck or Jakub Klemenchik.
Well, all I can say is I hope he comes back, because that was just so tight, close racing. And I tell you something, Klemenchik, the 2024 world champion, and Van Eck, the 2024 world champion, and Klemenchik, the current World Cup standing leader. Well, they got a right run from their money from Safi today.
Indeed, he just didn't push it down onto the descent, so he basically went from the top to land on the front wheel at the bottom. Okay, that's the men's done.
To the women's semi-final, and first up is going to be Fromberger from De Vries, from Scherstiuk there, and Krasnikova is going in that first heat, and then in the second it's going to be Sukapalova, Pernica, Borley and Kalashnikova. But first up indeed is Kuznetsova, De Vries, Scherstiuk and Fromberger. This is the first heat in the semi-finals for the women.
So 2 riders go through to the main final, fighting for 1st to 4th place. 2 riders go into the minor final, fighting for 5th to 8th position at the moment, being led out by the Ukrainian rider Scherstiuk. She has the lead at the moment as they go past the flags that are flying, but Fromberger powers her way up the hill. De Vries comes around on that wide line. You can see just going up onto that right-hand side to carry that momentum and that speed down into that descent. Carry as much pace as possible. If you're in the lead position, you pick your line. If you're not pressured too much, you are able to take exactly that line that you want, carry the most momentum behind. You don't get that choice. You have to put the brakes on at maybe the inopportune moment, not what is optimal, and then you start to lose speed. Fromberger choosing that tight inside line as well, really clearly paying attention to what else other people have been doing on there. They will have wrecked every single line on that rock garden. They will have looked at it carefully. They'll have ridden the multiple lines, and it does change during racing as well, dependent on those conditions. It's hot, it's sunny, but at the moment, the sun is shining on Fromberger, who has the race lead behind, though. Remember, with 2 riders going through and 2 riders not going to make it through into those main finals, it is close and quite cagey behind here. Didi De Vries sitting on the wheel at the moment of Scherstiuk. So De Vries with the red shoulders and the white and blue of the Netherlands champion starting to move up on Scherstiuk. Puts in another big kick, goes over the top, gets the bar in front. And Fromberger now goes from 1st to 3rd place. She's going to need to bide her time and then look at to accelerate and to go into this time and really power up. We've seen her use that momentum before. Now she goes this line wider this year than we've seen in previous years. It gives you room to overtake, and that's exactly what Fromberger does. She chose her moment. She's moved from a third. She challenged for first. She's dropped into second place. Down onto the descent they go. And at the moment, it's De Vries, Fromberger, and then Schusterk.
Well, all three of these women want a place in that major final. They've all done it before. And Didi De Vries, absolutely adamant, is going to be hers today. It's Maria Schusterk who is the one in third place at the moment. She took third place at the World Championships this year. She's not done as well in the World Cups yet. And I do love a World Championships because it's all that happens on that day. Here it's going to be De Vries and Fromberger who go through. Maria Schusterk is going to have to wait for that major final in another round.
So great riding on the way through. Anastasia Kuznetsova is going to be the fourth rider in and through to finish. But from the start here, a real big kick as they came off from the line, and you could see pretty much straight away that it was going to be between these three. Fromberger, not panicking, was a very smart move by her as she went up onto that climb. You can just see that right elbow just bandaged up, big scrape down the side from going out on the course in practice, but great result for her. She moves up into that main final.
She does indeed. Now we have in the start line, we've got Borley from France, Sukapolova from Ukraine, Pernica from Czechia, and we've got Kalashnikova riding in the next semi-final heat.
So this is the second of our semi-finals for women here to the Mountainbike Eliminator World Cup here in Sakarya in Turkey. And at the moment, Pernica, who absolutely blew the rest of the competition away in her quarterfinal, leading out this semi-final, going to take this tight left-hand turn at the moment, right on her wheels. It is the world champion. It's Sukapolova who is holding her here, and did say earlier on it'd be interesting to see what Sukapolova and Pernica can do when they're racing against each other. Nothing to separate them. Sukapolova fractionally faster in that time trial, and it does mean that the rest of the riders really are looking for an opportunity to move through, and that is Margot Borley along with Kalashnikova. Kalashnikova, I think, just being pushed back a little. Borley won't panic. She knows that there's a time to carry some pace, some momentum round. There is plenty of time if you've got the power to accelerate on that start-finish straight. Pernica down onto the descent. Sukapolova right behind her. So Pernica and Sukapolova clear of that obstacle. Take that left-hand turn. They're going to head out onto this lap with a gap back to Borley. What can Borley do about this now? She's got to catch them and put them under some pressure and hope there's going to be a mistake, I think, because she's going to use a lot of energy just to get back in contention.
Well, she is indeed, and it's the world champion Sukapolova on the wheel of Pernica. In fact, no longer, because Sukapolova's just gone round and over the top, and that's because they've been joined by Margot Borley as they drop down the steps and through the rock garden and up over the bridge.
So over the bridge to go onto the climb. Borley briefly making contact before that left-hand turn, and that positioning into that rock garden, the wooden step drop down, really critical. So at the moment, the world champion Sukapolova leading from Pernica. Pernica on that tight inside line behind. Borley not out of it yet. If any mistakes are made by these riders, one mistake, one slip, one slide, one mechanical will take you out of contention here, because Borley is not far behind, and even if you can coast that bike to the finish, Borley will be very quickly back in touch as they go up over the top with the BMX track in the background. Sukapolova down safely, so is Pernica. Left turn to do. Around that turn they go, getting the applause from the crowd, from the team. Sukapolova is going to go through to the main final, so is Pernica. Borley, along with Kalashnikova, will go into the minor final to fight for 5th to 8th place.
They will do indeed. So De Vries and Fromberger, Sukapolova and Pernica are the riders going through to the major final today. Schusterk, Kuznetsova, Borley and Kalashnikova are the 4 riders going through to the small final. You can see those results on your screen as we speak.
So those results confirmed with that green Q against them, and that means that those results are confirmed by the commissaires, all part of the commitment from the UCI into making sure that the racing is fair and that everybody abides by the rules. The commissaires doing a fantastic job, and I've got to say a big thank you to the team who are down there on site looking after the riders.
Well, I'm looking at the riders for the semi-finals, and they could both be finals themselves, but the two riders at the top of the tree on each of these semi-finals will go through to the main final. Riders 3 and 4 will go through to the small final. It's Wall from France, Zagar from Slovenia, Ceres from France and Gegenheimer from Germany, who line up for Heat 1.
So away they go. The board goes across, which means that the riders can start sometime in the next 15 seconds. They don't know when that's going to be. They're sent away quickly, and this is tactical already. They were looking across, seeing who's going to make the move, who's going to lead this out up on to the climb. At the moment, Lorenzo Ceres is leading. He's got Gegenheimer on the inside, and Gegenheimer in danger of being squeezed out here, but holds his position. He knows what to do when he's under pressure, and by holding position, he's forced the riders back behind. Zagar being pushed back, Wall being pushed back at the moment. Ceres and Gegenheimer leading this race into the descent in 1 and 2. Ceres and Gegenheimer. Ceres in the blue, Gegenheimer in the black behind Zagar, now with work to do.
Well, he is indeed, and the gap really starting to open with two riders clear at the moment. Zagar, we were talking about, finished 3rd in the World Championships earlier on this year in June. Gegenheimer, well, he took 5th. Hampio took 6th. He's in the next round. Ceres was not in that top 8 that day, and Wall was not present. So it is a real mixed bag in the semi-finals today. And one thing I really love about the Eliminator racing is you never know, and the riders never know, who is going to be in what heat with them.
No, they never know at all. And Zagar at the moment just starting to move up. Matej Zagar just making a little bit of ground as he comes in through here. Just taking, I think, a little bit of a breather, getting a bit of recovery done whilst the other two were in front. Gegenheimer leads, and now look at Zagar, comes on the right-hand side. He's going to get that wide line. He's being muscled to the outside. He's been pushed back once again, this time by Ceres. So he's been pushed back once by Gegenheimer, pushed back once by Ceres in those tight turns, and that is what's going to have cost him. He just needed that bit more power to get in front. One more turn to go, one more drop down at the moment. The riders modulating their speed. They don't want to go steaming over the top too far. It's going to come down to the sprint. Gegenheimer is going to lead this out. Then it's Ceres immediately behind. They go tight to the side. Gegenheimer rolls it over the line, cool as you like. Zagar sprints to the line. He can't quite pip Ceres. Gegenheimer, Ceres through. Zagar frustrated, couldn't quite make that. Last rider to the line will be from France. It'll be Justin Wall.
Well, 0.04 of a second was the margin between Ceres and Zagar on the line. Ceres and Gegenheimer going through to the big final. Zagar will go through to the small final, but put in some cracking racing today. Justin Wall will accompany Matej Zagar to that small final from that heat. Lining up for the final semi-final today, it's from the Netherlands, Jerome van Eck, Jakub Klemenček from Slovenia, Kilian Hampino from France, and Titouan Perrin-Gagné, his compatriot as well.
So you can see on the left-hand side the red shoulders, white midriff and blue of Jerome van Eck, the Netherlands champion. The white jersey with the red on it, that is the series leader, Klemenček. The youngster Hampio is here with the yellow jersey on there. The rider who was second fastest on the time trial, Titouan Perrin-Gagné, says, well, if you're not going to go, I think I've got plenty of speed and power to go into this corner first. He puts down the marker, he goes in, he's going to get position 1. 2 and 3 are tight, they're side by side. Van Eck just starting to force Hampio back a little bit as they go over the top here, but nobody out of contention yet. Perrin-Gagné leading up onto the climb on his left, our right hand side. Van Eck moves up, and Van Eck is going to get mobbed here, I think, by Hampio. And I think at the moment the speed that Perrin-Gagné is carrying is not enough to separate the riders, and they're bunching up behind it. It's causing a little bit of an issue for Hampio and for Van Eck. It's leaving them with a compressed space to race in, and behind them waiting is Klemenček. Klemenček, watch out for him as we come off this turn. They all know they want to go in to the left at the end of that start-finish straight first.
What?
That's really, really key, but they've got to get there first, and this is the run for it.
Right, it's a stacked field. 2 ex-world champions in the Eliminator discipline, the current World Series leader, and Kilian Hampino, the youngster who really wants to make a mark. But what's really interesting here is that this is just continual now, attack after attack after attack. They are all still together and all still still in contention.
So take two as we came in under the line that time round. It was Klemenchik who decided, you know what, I am going to go for this. He's gone clear. He went onto the front. He attacked going down that straight. He was the one who put the pressure on after having bided his time on lap number 1. Behind him, Hampio holds position, and now Perrin Gagne has dropped back. This is costly for the French champion. Van Eyck does not want to be taken out and put into that final. He's gone alongside Hampio. He's gone up. He's put himself between Hampio in a qualifying position. Klemenchik cannot relax here. He's going to act as a brake in front of the riders. The speed goes round on the outside from Van Eyck. Van Eyck carries the pace round. He manages to drag Hampio onto that tighter inside line, making him work for more distance. Klemenchik from Van Eyck. They go through. Hampio into the minor final along with Perrin Gagne.
Well, Jerome Van Eyck missed out here at the World Championships on this course. He didn't even make the small final when he's putting that right today. Qualifying today for the big final with Jakub Klemenchik, the current series leader. So Gegenheimer, Ceres, Klemenchik and Van Eyck. That is your men's final today. Zagar, Wall, Hampio and Perrin Gagne are the 4 riders that will go through to the small final to decide places 5th through to 8th.
Fantastic racing, and really interesting to see just how on the limit the riders are each and every time. Those tyres really balancing speed against grip, against traction, against the rolling resistance. When we're on such tight sprint finishes, it really does make a difference. But lose grip and pace on the climbs or on the corner and you're going to be down. So really, just like all mountain biking, getting that balance right, really critical.
Well, lining up for the small final for the women, they're about to be given the 15-second marker. It is Kalashnikova in 1, Sherstyuk in 2, Borely in 3 and Kuznetsova in 4.
So time to go racing. The time board giving a long hold here. Away they go. Borely, you could see they're itching to be gone in the red and white. And they move up through, though. It is our 2 riders of Independent Nation making the way up here. So it is the riders who are 7th and 8th in the time trial, Kalashnikova and Kuznetsova, who lead through going up. But do not discount Sherstyuk and Borely. They know what they need to do on this course. This is going to be very close, I think. Are we going to see team tactics at play here? Just a little bit of an easing off there, I think, from Kuznetsova. Just allowed a little bit of a gap to open up to the front of the race. Now Sherstyuk moves on the right-hand side. Borely is making a move as well, and he's going to go over the top. Carried more momentum. We've got the gear absolutely dialed. They're not going to get to the front of the race, but they have now split. Kuznetsova along with Kalashnikova. Kalashnikova leading down. Sherstyuk takes a look, goes around on the right of the rider. She's going to get the inside line on this next corner here. She goes through into the lead. Sherstyuk leading, Kalashnikova in 2nd place, Borely in 3rd at the moment. Those are the 3 in contention for 5th, 6th and 7th places. But they've got to come around this turn and get this absolutely down as they go out again.
They do indeed. They're going out for lap 2, and all 4 riders still in contention here, though Kalashnikova, Kuznetsova, Sherstyuk and Borely. It's Sherstyuk from the Ukraine on the front here, and she's pushing now into this hill and trying to establish a gap.
So at the moment, leading out from Kalashnikova and Borely. Borely makes a move over the top of Kalashnikova and goes over the top of Sherstyuk. Takes a tight line down, cuts the corner off. Risky move because you go onto those steps at an angle. More risk of coming a cropper, more risk of sliding out. However, the reward is bigger at the moment. Borely carrying the pace and the speed. She came up here in style. A little bit of a mistake from Sherstyuk on that climb. That front wheel just bobbled to the side there, just hit a rock. It stopped her momentum. It stopped gaining the ground on Borely, and at the moment Margot Borely looking like she's just continuing to extend that gap, carrying that momentum down. Sherstyuk took low on the bars, does not want to give up that place. Right hand turn up on to this big over the top, over onto the rumble strips on the wooden planking over the top of the storage here on site in Sakarya in Turkey. Round the turn now, Sherstyuk took a wider line. Can she carry the pace? Can she carry the speed. Borrelli is going to take it. Borrelli will take away the win in the minor final, and that translates as 5th place overall. 6th will go to Schustiuk. 7th and 8th places should be Kalashnikova and Kuznetsova, respectively.
Well, Borrelli's best finish so far this season in the World Cup rounds, and one that obviously means a lot to her. She took on Maria Schustiuk, and well, she came out on top today.
Well, the riders absolutely flying from that slower start where we saw the riders saving energy. It's now paying off because they are putting that energy down. They really are winding it up in our finals here as we go in and getting quicker and quicker. Almost start to run ahead of time. They're going that fast.
Well, this is the small final for the men. We've got Kylian Hampano, Matic Zagar, Titouan Perrin-Gagné and Justin Wall. 3 Frenchmen against 1 rider from Slovenia.
Well, it's a bit like a track race at the moment. So guy just takes a look across at Perrin-Gagné. He looks at Hampio. Whilst they're all looking at each other, Wall says, well, if you're all gazing into each other's eyes, I'm going to go gaze my way up to the front of this. I'm not worried about what studies you've got on. I want to be at the front and basking in the sunlight as the winner of the small final. Wall opened a huge gap there by putting the power down at the right time. They were all looking around, and now Wall puts the pace up. He's onto the climb here. Look at the effort he's putting in. He is going to be closed down a little bit by Zagar at the moment, but Zagar down on to that descent. Can they pull Wall back? Wall at the moment looking like he saved energy in the semi-final. He knew he wasn't going through, I think, and I think he's been smart. He saved some extra firepower, some of that extra some of that extra kick. He's up on the front. He goes over the top here in first place. Him Zagar, then Perrin-Gagné, and then it is going to be Hampio as they go on to that descent. The youngster right off the back of this group, but Wall leads through. Zagar is coming behind him though, and Zagar is not going to give up. Determination all over his face as he goes up. He's on him. He's up to the side. He goes in front now, and Wall has put that big effort in. You can see him sucking in the oxygen as he comes down, and this is where you've got to be careful not to make a mistake when you've been absolutely on the limit. Your oxygen's in everywhere but your brain. You're not processing fast enough. You're trying to do it on instinct, and that's when things can go wrong. These riders have to keep it nailed together whilst they're on the absolute limit. Zagar making his move at the right time, going into that left-hand turn on the last lap in front. It has opened the gap up, and at the moment Zagar, after that frustration of the semi-finals not making it through into the main final, really has opened up the gap here. He's got to keep calm, not overcook this descent. He goes down, keeps that bike positioned. He's going to keep that grip all the way round, weight on the outside foot, keeps it nailed. He's going to come to the line. It's going to be a win in the minor final behind Perrin-Gagné, challenging a fading Wall behind. No doubting the man who's going to take 5th place overall. That is Zagar, who takes that away. Matic Zagar taking the win. Perrin-Gagné indeed looking like he has pipped Justin Wall for what is 6th place. Wall in 7th, and Hampio will be in 8th.
Well, it was a great race from Matic Zagar to come over the top of Justin Wall and take that 5th place today. Titouan Perrin-Gagné just edging out Justin Wall on the line there, picking up 6th. Wall will finish in 7th and Hampio in 8th. Well, down in the start pen, it's the big final for the women, and they are lined up and waiting for the 15-second to go mark. Down in the start, rider number 1, Didi de Vries. Rider number 2, Adela Pernica. Rider number 3 is indeed Maria Shukapalova, and Mariam Fromberger was P4.
Okay, so away go those riders from those start positions, and it is at the moment Shukapalova in the front spot at the moment, making her way up, not the fastest in the time trial. That was Fromberger as they come down onto the descent, though. Fromberger is pushed back into 3rd position, so at the front of the race it is Shukapalova, the world champion with those rainbow bands in the white and the green. Pernica fighting to stay on that wheel. Fromberger sitting there, powering down, pushing on to those pedals, making sure that they are in here. But this is very, very key. This is the moment where it's going to count. Now, Didi Rees at the moment in 4th place, but she's seen what can happen. She needs to stay close, not to drop her momentum, not let this get to her. She's got to pick her pace up and be there, ready to pounce, ready to make a move. Round that left-hand turn, Sukarpalova leading. This is the final of the XE Mountain Bike Eliminator World Cup, and Marion Fromberger now starts to move down the left-hand side. She didn't wait until she got up on to the bank. She made her move, but she's not got the power to go around Sukarpalova at the moment. And at the moment, Sukarpalova on the track that saw her take away that world title is leading the World Cup leader, who's in 2nd position. She might have the #1 play as the fastest in the time trial, but Fromberger, although she's #1 in the World Cup, is in 2nd position. But this is not about staying clear of 3rd. This is about taking the win. Fromberger's looked so strong on this climb. She's nailing this as De Vries comes on to the climb. Fromberger cannot come round at this point. She's now running out of options. Sukarpalova, super smooth down here. Garners a lot more momentum on the way down. You can see the pedal strokes having to come in from Fromberger to get her onto the wheel. She's keeping the pressure on Sukarpalova. She makes a move on the right-hand side. She's come on the inside. She's going in front. She keeps it super tight. Sukarpalova has nowhere to go. She has to go over to the outside. Now this is about carrying that momentum. Fromberger comes round. She's got to keep this rubber side down. She accelerates up, and Fromberger is going to hit the line. Your race winner today, the World Cup winner, is Marion Fromberger, the World Cup leader from world champion Maria Sukarpalova. You can see what it means to the race winner. What a finish, and what a move on that right-hand turn. She went for it the moment she came out of that corner. She took the race victory there. Fromberger in 1, Sukarpalova in 2, Pernica in 3, and De Vries in 4.
What a race. And I'll tell you something, Marion Fromberger currently leading the World Cup, the world champion in those rainbow bands, head-to-head here in Turkey. What a finish. Marion Fromberger taking the win from Sukarpalova in the final.
Great ride. You can see the emotion written on her face, so you can see what it means. So she's been such a consistent performer for so many years on the World Cup scene in those World Championships. She's taken away an increased point score from this, and that's going to do her confidence good. What a way to take the win. Beat the current world champion, Maria Sukarpalova, into 2nd place by putting in a killer move on the penultimate corner.
Well, I don't think Fromberger can now be caught, even in the last 2 rounds. She would have to have, well, just so much trouble to not retain that World Cup jersey right the way through till the end of the season, and I'm sure that is her focus. Well, the focus on the start line at the moment is the men's final. Jerome van Eck from the Netherlands, Jakub Klemenček from Slovenia, Loris Serres from France, and Simon Gegenheimer from Germany.
So here we go. This is the last race of the day, and away they go. And it's a pretty pedestrian start at the moment. There's some serious brinkmanship going on. Gegenheimer's like, well, if you're over there, I'll go have a little wander over to the left of the course. We'll go over to the right-hand side of the course. Let's see who is going to go on the front. Nobody wants to put the work in too early here. Move on the left there. Jerome van Eck just pushing his way up into 2nd wheel. And he's going to see if he can take that inside line. He's not going to get it from Gegenheimer. Klemenček and Serres take the wide line over the top there. They're just using the course to carry momentum, but at the moment this is properly cagey. Now Van Eck is going to start winding this up on Gegenheimer. They can hear, they can sense where those riders are. Gegenheimer doing just enough to force these riders back. They have seen the acceleration, the kick that comes on lap number 2. Can they keep themselves together until they hit lap 2? They've seen the positions be reversed. We've seen first going to 4th. We've seen 4th come to 1st. We've seen every variation from there on in. And at the moment, Gegenheimer is almost like, well,
After
come on.
you.
Would you like to take the race lead? Would you? Down they go, down that descent. I tell you, even I can go down
Has
that hill
anybody
faster than
told
that.
them it's not a Sunday club run?
Well, it's a bit like that, isn't it? It's a bit like the early morning start when you sort of head out on the mountain bike and it's still cold on the hills. Now let's see the kick. Here we go. 1 lap to go. And this means they've all got more energy for lap number 2. Ceres is going. Gegenheimer can go with him. And Jerome Van Eck has let that gap go. He's got to build momentum to come on. Klemenchik goes round at Van Eck because he could see the danger there of Van Eck being distance on the way through. And it's going to be Ceres who leads them over the bridge, up on to the climb. Gegenheimer in 2. Then it's the series leader, Klemenchik in 3. Gegenheimer tries to go on the right-hand side here of Ceres. He's on the outside, though. He's going to try it. He can't make it. And Klemenchik takes that tight inside line that he's favoured all the way through the competition. Cannot make a move on the way down. Down into the right, into Fromberger corner. What can they do coming round this turn? They can't repeat that move that she put in there. Gegenheimer's coming on the right-hand side. It's tight on this descent. Carry too much speed. We've seen what happens. Gegenheimer's on the grass here. He's looking to carry speed. How much speed can he carry? This is the turn. They've got to come around this corner. They've got to get it nailed. Ceres gets it. Gegenheimer in 2. Klemenchik in 3. What a race. What a run for the finish there. Ceres takes the win. He gets the high fives all round. Klemenchik will aid his points there. And I'll tell you something, that is a very happy Lorenzo Ceres, the former French champion at the moment, celebrating. You can see that bike being lifted aloft. What a power, what performance, what a great sprint. And it was nailed. A really critical moment is that kick from the start of lap 2 into that first corner. As you come on lap 2, it absolutely really can decide that racing. So critical on this course. You can take a look from the start. It's pedestrian. You might as well right off lap 1.
I can tell you that was such a game of cat and mouse that it was only 0.18 of a second faster than the women's final.
And that shows you, doesn't it? And when you look at the times, it's not really. It's actually slower by some 8 seconds than the minor final.
Well, yes, Marion Fromberger would have come second in that race if it was just a time trial on those 2 finals. So brilliant racing all round, and what a game of cat and mouse. Lorenzo Ceres taking the win from Simon Gegenheimer, Jakub Klemenchik in 3, and Jerome Van Eck in 4.
So fantastic racing from our riders here today. Absolutely brilliant. Don't forget, you can keep up with all of the details of the Mountainbike Eliminator World Cup on the UCI website and all the links from there. Don't forget, of course, at UCI for all things at UCI on the internet and on social media. You can see the congratulations coming raining in for Lorenzo Ceres as he celebrates that win here today.
Well, celebrating the win, we are very shortly going to see the flower ceremonies and the awards on stage for our men's and our women's races today. Marion Fromberger and Lorenzo Ceres. Hopefully we will hear from both of our winners as well. Great racing here in Turkey. The course in Sakarya, well, it never ever disappoints. As we said, there is Fromberger. Let's hear from her now.
Second time, like immediately after Ireland, in front of like a big crowd in Turkey. How do you feel?
Yeah, it just feels amazing. I was a bit nervous before the start because I crashed really bad yesterday, but it makes me more happy that I could finish in first, and yeah, it's just unbelievable.
What can we expect like the rest of the season from you?
So the season is quite long. We have a lot of races to go, but yeah, everything is open in the sprint, so we will see. But I'm still in the leader jersey and I really want to protect it.
Perfect. Enjoy the celebration tonight.
Thank you so much.
Well, it's going to be great watching Marion Fromberger protect that jersey through the next 2 rounds. We're heading to Sao Paulo in Brazil on the 17th of August, and then the finale in Barcelona on the 11th of October. So the flower ceremonies all getting put into place. Just to confirm, it was indeed Adela Pernica from Czechia who took 3rd place today in that women's final. Maria Sukapolova, the world champion, took 2nd place today, the rider from the Ukraine. And Marion Fromberger, the rider we have just heard from, did indeed take the win from Germany. We're going to hear from Lorenzo Ceres, the man from France who took the win today.
Now you won like the first time the World Cup in Sakarya. How does it feel?
Ouais, je vais parler en français, je suis désolé, mais du coup, oui, je suis content d'avoir gagner aujourd'hui, ça prend la revanche sur Allen à la précédente Coupe du Monde, et du coup je suis vraiment content d'aller chercher cette victoire aujourd'hui. Et c'est vrai que c'est un parcours magnifique. À Sakarya, il y a une ambiance incroyable et ça fait porter, ça donne des ailes pour aller chercher ces victoires comme aujourd'hui.
Merci. Thank you.
Merci.
So fantastic to hear from Lorenzo Ceres there. Really enjoying the ambience and the atmosphere that's created by the crowd here. He'll be searching for that win a long time, and he wants to really challenge for the lead in the World Cup and to challenge Klemenchik and to grab the points at the top of the standings and really force the rest of the riders down. That's really going to make a difference. It's great to see the riders here. I think that is going to be handback there with the crowd signing their signatures, the absolute superstars of mountain bike XCE, keeping the crowds entertained today. A brilliant result for mountain biking, getting more riders onto mountain bikes now into mountain bike, and hopefully to mountain biking racing as well as riding out in the countryside.
Well, you never know, one of those young fans in that stadium may well be a star of the future and picking up a rainbow jersey.
And look at the crowds, there's not even enough seats in the grandstand. There are that many people coming down to watch, and that is just fantastic to see. Great to see that enthusiasm from the crowd, from the riders as well. And I know from their social media and from talking to the riders really are enjoying the fact that this has been such a buzzing race, such a fantastic environment to be in.
Well, let's just confirm the top three in the men's race. Jakub Klemenchik from Slovenia takes third place today. Simon Gegenheimer from Germany takes second. And Lorenzo Ceres from France takes top spot today in the men's race here in Sakarya. So as we watch these wonderful shots of the crowd here in Turkey, we look forward to Sao Paulo and Brazil on the 17th of August. Yes, you are correct. That is next Sunday. That is the round 5 of the World Cup. And while the viewers in the stands are getting a grandstand shot of themselves on the screen, it's great to see these different venues around the world enjoying Eliminator racing and the World Cup.
So we look forward to our next round, catch up with all of the series standings on the City Mountain Bike website and on the UCI website. Don't forget, of course, that we have the World Cup going to Sao Paulo, to Brazil, new venue. And of course, once we go from there, these riders will be looking to defend those titles, to take away that series leaders jersey as they move on from here in Sakarya and on from Sao Paulo in Brazil. Lots of great mountain bike racing and lots of different racing, all under the UCI banner. Great to see you. Let's have a quick look back at today's highlights.
Well, the racing was fast and furious in Sakarya. The technical features on the course really playing into the action. And we saw in that women's race Marion Fromberger pipping the world champion on the line, near enough to take the title today. Lorenzo Ceres from France taking the win in the men's race, but it was heated all the way through. Well, Matt and I are looking forward to joining you from round 5 of the UCI Mountain Bike Eliminator World Cup. That's coming up next weekend. Until then, stay safe, enjoy your racing. We'll see you soon. Goodbye.
Goodbye.